Talk about some of the best utility irons I think that are out there at the minute, what I think they can do for your golf, who they might appeal to. We've got the Ping G400 crossover. Now I know there's newer ones than this, as in release dates. This one's still on the website. It's still, you know, you can still buy this one. And I'll talk about why this one's included. The new Titleist Utility 505 looks pretty sharp. Srixon ZX and the Callaway X-Forged UT. So different sizes, different shapes. Let's talk about what they might do for your golf. Utility iron. In the comments down below, are you a hybrid player or a utility iron player, or both? Let me know down there. So we're going to go crossover to start. Now the reason I've chosen this one is because it's big and chunky. Like, it's really like the other end of the spectrum, which I like. I like the fact that this is going to appeal to some people who want their friendliest one. Maybe they can get their hands on. I mean, I've hit that really scabby and cutty, and it's done average. And when I look at all four of them together, I'm going to put them in order of kind of shape and appearance. Ping is the chunkiest, followed closely by the Titleist. The Titleist does feel like it's gone bigger than I've ever seen before. Then we're going into the Callaway and the Srixon last, but the Callaway and Srixon are very similar. We're talking top lines, appearance of the size of the head. Most offset as well as the Ping, so to not have an offset option in there in the best, I think, would be not so good, where you've got the Srixon and the Callaway next to no offset, the Titleist a little bit of offset, and then the Ping is just offset. So you are seeing some real size differences with these two being the smallest, Titleist and the Ping being the biggest, and the Ping definitely, yeah, hello there. I'm going to show you the data on all four of these irons as well to show you what they might do and how they might fit into your game or not. Again, caught that average, but kept it more on target. The Ping for me just wins if you want big, friendly, an iron, so no roll and bowls like you'd get on a hybrid, so no curve of the face. You want a straight face club you can hit from the tee and the ground, but you don't care how it blends into any sets, as in if you've got chunky irons it'll blend brilliantly, but if you haven't, you just want the friendliest thing looking down by the ball, and yeah, this does deliver that. Sounds good, it's loud, it pings like Ping often does, it makes a nice big sound as well. It's not trying to be, I don't know if you can hear that. See what I mean? It is quite a tingy pingy sound, which makes it feel like almost like a little bit of a hybrid. So the Titleist next, this looks nice. From this end it looks like nice clean lines, but you do see plenty of the club out the back. You know, it's chunkier than I remember their utilities ever being, which I think is a really good thing. This and the Ping look so similar. Like, they look aggressively iron hybrid crossovers more. They're moving away from the sets of irons, and I think moving into function more rather than looks. I'm going to hit 3 shots with each, 3 shots with each, and keep doing that pattern to try and give you a fair representation on the data that we will be presenting. So that feels very solid. It feels, it's certainly not as loud as the Ping, but it doesn't feel dull. It's got the word forged written on the side of it. We will do the tech of all of them shortly. Yeah, it felt pretty good. That's a pretty horrible strike, and it's doing fine. Look at it get up there, it's left. I towed it, not nice. And again, when I look at all four, the Srixon you don't see out the back really at all. The Callaway you see out the back a little bit, so the back of the club. The Titleist and the Ping are not hiding the back at all. They're just like, it's a triangle, it's chunky, do what you're meant to do with this club. Oh yeah, hit that well. Absolutely feels like a rocket, and you see that's getting out there. Obviously we'll hit more to try and get a fair representation. Titleist feels really good. Less pingy than the Ping. The Ping definitely sounds more like a little hybrid. This one looks like a little hybrid, sounds closer, feels closer to what the irons are kind of doing in their sets. The Srixon next. So these next two I think are really starting to blend in with the iron sets more. You can see you don't see hardly any of the back of the club, if any, out the top, subject to how much handle lean and ball positions, those kind of ideas. It is starting to now represent an iron. So for me, when I look down at this one is blending more so much with my set that it would scare me. I want a hybrid in this loft. I would be more towards the other two if I had to use a utility iron. And this does feel softer. Again, everything about this feels like it's blending in much more with my irons, and I'm not a good long iron player. I'm a better hybrid player. So the other first two are much more in my wheelhouse, where obviously there are plenty of golfers out there who they want a 4 iron or whatever you want to call this, a 4 utility iron to blend more with their irons. They don't want it to be big and chunky. So this is where this one would really start to maybe appeal to them. Not to me, but definitely to that kind of style of golfer. Smaller down by the head, which does look great. It just makes me feel like I might not have the precision for how far I want this ball to go. But I mean, I've hit that wow, and that feels pretty pure, and you can see it's getting up there with the most of them. It does feel so much more forged, lovely, like a bladed iron. So really, this is like a very, very helpful long iron. Not as helpful as the others, but I would call them closer to hybrids. Tried to stop the fade on that one, just hang on to it, and I've kept that nice and straight. And again, that's out there. That's the best feeling, but I wouldn't use it. So I like the feel of that if I was this kind of player. I think if you want that forged blend, this sort of feel, look, and do that, I'm going to be more towards the Ping and the Titleist for size if I had to go this route. Callaway to finish as I collect some data or keep going round hitting my sets of 3. Let's see what this one does with the blend. Again, this one really is blending again for me more like your iron player's desires. Slightly longer blade length, I'd say the Srixon does appeal or look the smallest, the more classic. This is bridging the gap between those and the bigger ones, but again, this is much more down towards the iron blend. And the feels in the middle, it doesn't feel as soft as the Srixon. It feels maybe more similar to where the feeling of the Titleist was. Looks great, looks Callaway. Cool down by the ball, this one. I've started to find my direction a bit more with them, as you can see. You can see they're all grouping very similar. I mean, the red batch is pushing forward the furthest, and we'll talk about that as we go, because they're not all the same loft and they're not all the same length. I haven't got them all made exact to the same specifications because they're fitting more into where I need them in my bag when I was reviewing them, as in a set. I think as well the important thing here, which I'll show you how the launches relates to the lofts and how confusing that gets by getting the people want to get the same length, get the same. Well, I want that Ping one to go 210 through the air, and I want this one to go 190 through the air. With an iron, it's not maxing out. It's about getting it to fit into where you need it to fit in a little bit more. And then there's other complications of this size head. I don't know if I'd want a longer shaft on it. You know, I'm already feeling like I could miss it. So if I can't hit this or I had to go longer, why would I not just go for the bigger one as well? So there's many ways you can read into that, but we'll show you how that plays out in the numbers because it is an interesting conversation. Again, call that pretty medium to decent. Nice and straight, not the longest, but not the shortest. This feels very, very solid too. So back on the Ping, as I go around the cycle of hitting to try and get my numbers up to give you a fair representation of the data, why don't we go and look at the tech of these 4 irons to see how they differ or not. Titleist Utility 505, so high explosive launch, outstanding versatility and improved feels, what they're saying. So they're using D18 tungsten, more dense tungsten in this club. New max impact technology, trying to keep those ball speeds up across the face. Multi-material body. Forged face insert. We look at the Callaway UT X Forge, so high ball speeds, extremely soft feel coming from mild forged 1025 mild carbon steel, hollow body construction, and they've got their urethane microspheres to create pure feel, so they're playing with the sound inside. Enhanced Launched and Control. Our external MIM'd tungsten weight allows for us to precisely locate the CG. So they're using tungsten as well. High ball speeds from the AI design Flash Face Cup creates sophisticated face architecture. They're playing with the face again to try and keep your ball speeds up. The pin crossover, like I said, there are other more modern ones. This is just, I think, the chunkiest one, which is why it's in the test. It's a thinner hybrid style sole. It is starting to really bridge over to those iron designs in the sole. So bounce and camber reduce to thin the sole and achieve a more consistent turf interaction is what they're saying. Hydropearl chrome finish reduces friction by 40%. So they've got a finish on the face. Tungsten weighted as well. So Miragin C300 steel, higher launch and 30% more stopping power. A 20-gram tungsten toe weight increases forgiveness. And they've got iron-like gearing, so you've got the iron face, basically, but you've got the hybrid help, almost. And then the Srixon ZX utility, it's got the mainframe face, so human intelligence blended with artificial intelligence. These irons have been tested to produce our fastest irons yet. Variable thickness, basically, in the face. Hollow body design, added forgiveness from hollow body construction, makes it easier in pure utility iron. Multi-piece construction, they're using a Ford sub-10 face, enhanced speed and distance, carbon steel body, absorbed vibration, extreme feel. And they're playing with CG placements as well to try and make sure you get the most out of the launch of these clubs. Right, last one with the ZX. I've gone around, we've got a minimum of 12 shots of each club. And let's look at the data here. So you can see the dispersion with all of them. From that distance, I'm carrying them between 214 and 200 yards is very, very similar. I didn't see any patterns for lefts and rights. That was much more me. Now we see a big jump in the U, 505 from Titleist, 37 mile/hour ball speed. And we see a noticeable drop in spin over the other ones and carrying 214. So if we think about that, this is a 20-degree club. So the 3 I've got in my hand here comes in at 20 degrees. The other ones are ranging from 24, 22 and 23. So this is 1 club extra. They're 4s where this is a 3. So I'd expect it to be going 7 to 15 yards further. And it is. It's going around 15, 13, 16 yards further. It's a club longer. It's a club longer because the others, look at the dynamic loft, all very, very similar to each other. And this one stands out with a lower loft delivered because it's a lower loft starting. You can see the stripe patterns are all very, very matched. I think it's so interesting with the irons, how my strike pattern goes towards the heel. My strike pattern with a hybrid is kind of a little bit more maybe high toe to middle. The iron, it goes more into the heel. Big lot of weight here coming off the club. I just think the center of gravity is hard for it to push out this side. It probably feels a little bit stronger than there for me, where the toe feels weaker. So I naturally track that part of the club I feel more secure out. And that's not like a boast. Oh, look how clever I am. You'll be amazed how many different skilled golfers do that to a certain extent as well without even knowing they're doing it. And then again, the ball speed's all very, very similar. 2 mile/hour slower, obviously, with the Callaway. And as you might have guessed, the Callaway is the 24 degree. So what I'm seeing from these numbers, and this is why I'm always interested in why people want the exact same length, exact same club, so on and so forth, is I'm seeing what loft is delivered. So what the loft we send into the shot, with the speed, I got a little bit more speed out of the U, but again, the U is the longest because it's a club longer, comes out. And that reflects then in the data. I could carry a 4 iron and a 3 iron in this if I wanted these two. So a 198 shot and a 214 is, like, they're 2 playable shots. There's nothing in there that's surprising me. Everything is exactly where you'd expect that to be with the loft. So to pick a favorite, so to think which one is my favorite, I'm going to go for 2 categories for a little game at the end. I'm going to go, if you are the person who want it to be like as bladey as possible, blending towards your irons, I'm going to go ZX, Srixon and X Forged are basically my 2 favorites, okay? And I'm going to go with the Srixon just because it is that slightly more soft feel and that slightly more kind of shaved off look. But I mean, there's nothing really between the Callaway and the Srixon for me. I think you could go for either of those. And then out of these two, again, there's not much between it. I'm going to go for the Ping purely because I actually quite like the big offset when I'm down there with a longer club. There's nothing between those two. If you had the exact same loft cylinders, I think they'll come out very much the same. The reason you get that bit more distance on this one is, well, it's a 4 and it's a 3. They're basically coming out the same. So we'll do a little game to finish where I'm going to compare the Chunky Monkey to the thinnest one out of the 3. So I'm going to go the Ping G40 or 400, sorry, to the ZX Srixon. So we're 210 out, and you're going to see that we're on 10th at Pebble Beach. It's a tiny green. You wouldn't want to be hitting 210 into this green. Wish me luck. So in the comments down below, Ping or Srixon, which one's going to hit it closer? Let's give it a couple of goes. I'm 210 out because I can bounce on a little bit. And we've got, well, actually, it's pretty even on the elevation. What I'm going to do, you can see I was carrying these 200, so you're going to get a bit of roll. Also, I want to push them. I want to hit this hard to see if I can see any difference between the Chunky, which I prefer, say in the Ping, to the Srixon, which I feel hitting it hard is going to be, well, for my skill set, harder to do. I've hit that pretty good. Says my little fade that you can see I was getting on the test. Look at that, I'll take that all day long. Will it hold the green? Sit. Oh, yes, please. Honestly, the Ping just feels like a cheating stick when it comes to this kind of club that I'm not particularly friendly with. 25 foot. Oh. Aiming up the left, hoping I get my little bit of shape. Oh, yeah, hello. That gets the bounce. Get up a little. Oh, what? Player. Oh, why am I not using a near-on blade 4-iron? Yes, please. Look at the launch on those two. So a little bit higher with the Ping, which you'd probably expect. Spin within 100 of each other. And the fact that it carries that fraction shorter. Just because of the launch, I think the launch is there. I would say it's probably a slightly better strike in the Ping, maybe a little higher on the face. That's the Ping strike, pretty plumb. And that was the Srixon strike. So you can see where that little bit of difference in distance when you start snapshotting into one shot against one shot is. And when we're talking, what's that millimeters difference in strikes? It's costing me what people would be sold to as that's gone further, you know, a better club. Yeah, 6 yards less carry. I know people are sold on 6 yards on drivers. Oh, that one's 6 yards further. Oh, really? Right, let's go with the Srixon to begin. Best of 3. Can I repeat that? How far close did that go? 4.8 feet. I can't hit that close with a wedge. That was just a lucky heel that made it go perfect. Golf variants. Yes, please. Oh, again, I've hit that good. What am I doing? I've hit that really good. You see how that's thrown up now with the Ping? And now it's gone further away. So the better strike out of those two is not as close. It's hilarious, isn't it? So look, now it's exactly the same as the Ping. The spins, it got a little bit less than spin. I presume the strike was more centered and a fraction higher, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's just... There's your 6 yards. This is why it's so important when you do testing. You've got to be looking at your standard deviations when you're doing data sets. Try and look at what your standard deviations are doing to find out what your range is rather than just your averages if you want to actually see the performance of those clubs. Right, 19 foot 3 inches for Ping to try and beat. Again, I've hit that nice. Oh, we could have a winner here. I could go in. Oh, beat the club. Sit! Sit! I don't know. Why am I not playing these kind of clubs? That was 12, which was what won there? 12 foot. Oh, it's 1-all. It's a decider. It's a decider. Again, the Ping there just struck nicely, a fraction towards the toe, but good. This is interesting, is there were quite big extremes in designs of these two. You can see what comes out in the results. And again, if it's just one shot, you can kind of get to see anything comes out in the results. I think the Ping would be my winner, personally, regardless of the results. That's what I want to look at. This is too much towards an iron. You got to remember when I get to, I mean, I don't have anything more than the 6-iron and then I just jump into hybrid. So this is way away from what I would want. I think The Callaway and the ZX is the best if you want it to look like an iron. The Titleist and the Ping are the best if you want it to be closer, let's call it an old-fashioned driving iron, or closer a hybrid but with a flat iron face. Because I have to put it out there again, and Titleist won this in one of their other clubs for me, the most improved out of all of those two, I would say, is the Titleist. Like, that's the best utility iron I think they've made. At last, they're going really nice and chunky and big, which I'm really happy to see. So I think that's definitely got to be a tester. Right, I've moved to 220 yards because I wanted it like really hard. I want to push, like you can see, they were kind of comfortable. And now the fact that I'm going to have to hit this as hard as I can, does that mean I'm happier with the Ping again? It's these kind of things you'd want to test. Let's give it a go. A little bit toey, but oh no, it's going to go in the water, is it? Get up! Go! Oh no! That is punishing. Guys, do not have 220 into this hole. I felt like it hit that quite well. Needed that a bit more at the left. Oh, I'm going to hit one more because I just want to see if I can get that Ping there. That flew. What did that fly in the air? What was the actual carry? 207. So no further than the others. Oh, and there's the miss it. Going for more speed, and I've just hit a horrible miss it, which might do better than the first one. Yeah, look at that. Brilliant, isn't it? Look at that. Like, that's a horrible strike. 195 carry, and it got the bounce. And you're trying to worry about what shaft you've got. Come on, people, get real. So again, this is where the Srixon pushes me out of my comfort zone. If I'm going to hit this as hard as I have to get this anywhere near there on the semi-fly, I want that big chunky thing of the Titleist or the Ping. That's going to go in the water because it won't make the carry. Strike was medium. I mean, it's almost identical to the Ping, isn't it? And there's such difference. There's such, different makeups. You're really dialing into the lofts, the lengths, the sounds, the feels, how you want it to blend. They're the big questions for you. Right, one more. Ah, there you go. That's not going to hit the green because it's up the left, but I have absolutely ripped that. Oh yeah, that has flown massive for me. That's a 220 carry. And that is with the bladed one. Hard to pick a winner. It's going to be the Ping because I just love what they do with chunky. And then it's the Srixon for looks. But again, I play Srixon irons. It blends into what I want to look. The Callaway doesn't really lose to that. And obviously they've got the Ping crossovers as well, which are not as chunky as the G400, and I think that would fit in there as well. Good utility irons. You've got to think about the things we're saying in that video. Think about the blend, think about the options of what you're going to do, think about you're going to hit it hard, you're going to hit floating shots, do you want it punches. You got to think about how you're playing a utility iron, what situation, to find out what is best for you. But for me, I'm going to say the Ping.